Two siblings, Drew and May, are on a journey to a remote location for a diving trip. May and Drew haven't seen each other for a long time, and during the trip, May is curious about Drew's life, asking about her job and where she currently resides. Drew reveals that she left her job at a magazine printing press due to bankruptcy and now lives with their mother. Meanwhile, May is working in oil drilling. Eventually, they arrive at a stunning coastal cliff. After unpacking their diving gear from the trunk, they walk towards the starting point of their dive. May, being more experienced, prepares their diving equipment. They descend into the depths of the sea, with May leading the way to explore the underwater terrain. At a depth of 20 feet, they navigate through exotic underwater cliffs. They discover a hollow space within an underwater cave above the water surface. To sustain themselves without using oxygen tanks, they share oxygen from their tanks. Drew thoroughly enjoys the diving experience and expresses a desire to make it an annual tradition. Drew is concerned about May, knowing that she had bitter memories when she left home. May seems indifferent, swimming away from Drew. Worried, Drew follows her. Suddenly, May stops as if hearing something falling nearby. It turns out to be rock debris that fell close to their diving location. May instructs Drew to move towards the cliff wall to avoid the rock debris. Drew continues calling May. As their communication devices remain unresponsive, Drew descends to search for May at the ocean floor. While Drew tries to locate May, their communication devices reconnect, and May informs Drew of her location. She is trapped under the fallen rocks near the cliff wall. Through their voice communication and the assistance of a diving flashlight, Drew manages to find May. However, May's leg is pinned by the rock slide, causing Drew to panic. May insists for Drew to leave her and seek help above. Drew is confused and panicking, but May reassures her, stating that she can handle the situation. May asks about the oxygen supply, and Drew mentions there are 85 bars left, with 100 bars allowing May to survive for 25 minutes. May instructs Drew to go to the surface, and the dive computer will warn her to stop decompression, but she should ignore it. Their communication will be cut off once she reaches the surface. Upon reaching the surface, Drew is to seek help, bringing 2 oxygen tanks from the beach and 2 more from the car's back seat. A car jack from the trunk is also brought to lift the large rock off May. After 20 minutes on the surface, Drew must return immediately. Following May's instructions, Drew ascends to the surface. Upon reaching the surface, Drew attempts to retrieve the oxygen tanks from the beach. However, she discovers that the oxygen tanks, some belongings, and the car keys are buried under rock debris. Drew then adjusts her watch and rushes towards their car. After breaking the car window, Drew grabs an oxygen tank and tries to open the car trunk to get the jack. Unfortunately, the trunk is jammed. Drew then heads back down with a spare oxygen tank from the car. Upon reaching the bottom, she notices a boat approaching. Drew tries to shout for help but hesitates as time is running out for May below. Faced with the urgency, Drew decides to descend to assist May, accidentally dropping the oxygen tank in her panic. Meanwhile, May removes her face mask as her oxygen supply has run out. Drew proceeds to May and provides assistance by sharing her oxygen through her tank. She explains that her oxygen tank fell, and she will search for it, leaving her tank for May to use. Despite their worries, Drew reassures her. After removing her face mask, Drew goes in search of the fallen oxygen tank. Upon finding it, she endeavors to return to May's location. They then attach the oxygen tank and face mask, resuming communication. May questions why Drew didn't bring the jack. Drew explains that the rock debris buried everything, including her phone, to call for help. May seems skeptical of Drew's every word, who mentions seeing a house and a boat on the map, but the house is about a mile away. Drew expresses frustration, stating that the distance is too far, and if the boat has left, she should focus on retrieving the jack by any means. Drew also mentions that the inflator is damaged, and this time she has to undergo decompression to avoid fainting. Drew then ascends to the surface, with May repeatedly urging her to undergo decompression due to elevated nitrogen levels in her body. However, Drew appears to ignore these warnings and continues ascending to seek help from the approaching boat. Upon reaching the surface, the boat is nowhere to be found. Immediately after surfacing, Drew removes her face mask, experiences bleeding from her nose and mouth, and feels dizzy due to decompression. Drew rushes to attempt to open the trunk again, but her efforts are in vain. She then runs towards the house indicated on the map. Underwater, May seems to be experiencing nitrogen narcosis, a condition of unconsciousness caused by the anesthetic effects of high levels of nitrogen dissolved in the body during diving. She reminisces about her past with Drew and their father. May harbors resentment towards Drew, who has always been considered special by their parents, pampered and treated as a princess. Drew continues running and arrives at the house marked on the map, which turns out to be a church. Upon reaching there, Drew tries to seek help, but there is no one around. She breaks a window and searches for usable items. After writing a plea for help on the map, she heads back to the car to open the trunk with a hammer she found. In the car, using a knife, Drew attempts to pry open the trunk, but her efforts prove futile. She decides to push the car into a ravine to force open the trunk. The car is wrecked, but Drew doesn't find the jack, only a first aid box and a can of tire sealant are inside. Drew cries and feels hopeless as her efforts seem to be in vain. Drew then wakes up and finds an iron pole indicating that the area is prone to landslides. Drew returns to the shore and patches her inflator hose using the iron pole and remnants of an oxygen tank. She heads back underwater to assist May. Once below, May mentions that there are many ways to escape and insists that her place is here. Hearing this, Drew attributes it to May experiencing nitrogen narcosis and urges her to stay alert. Using the iron pole, Drew attempts to lift the large rock pinning May, but it proves futile due to its excessive weight, causing the iron pole to break. Drew then checks the oxygen level in her tank, which is nearly depleted, intending to replace it with a new one. However, as she tries to switch tanks, the replacement tank's valve is damaged, forcing Drew to continue using the old tank. Drew, feeling desperate, seeks advice from May, who states she doesn't know as she can't think clearly anymore. May suggests that Drew might be better off leaving her there for the time being. Observing her BCD jacket, Drew decides to place it under the rock and inflate it. It acts as an air cushion. Unfortunately, when inflating the BCD jacket, the safety valve malfunctions, continuously releasing air. May gives up on all of Drew's efforts to save her. She instructs Drew to ascend to stop her decompression. However, Drew refuses to give up. She removes her oxygen tank and ascends to the surface. Upon reaching the surface, Drew expels a significant amount of blood through her nose and loses consciousness. Underwater, May seems to hear Drew's favorite song and revisits shadows from her past. Shortly after May's hallucination, Drew descends again and patches the malfunctioning valve using a leak sealant, successfully inflating the BCD jacket. Drew manages to extract May from the situation. Drew appears exhausted, likely due to the significant loss of air and the effects of decompression. May attempts to bring her to the surface, but the currents outside seem too strong. May decides to head towards a cave. With the remaining oxygen in their tanks, May chooses to retrieve the damaged oxygen tank to provide oxygen so they can ascend to the surface using the remaining oxygen inside. Inside the cave, Drew, having lost a considerable amount of oxygen, faints and floats at the surface. May returns after securing the damaged oxygen tank, observing Drew's condition. She then breaks the oxygen tank to access more oxygen. May tries to assist the oxygen-deprived Drew, and eventually, Drew regains consciousness. They then ascend to the surface, and the film concludes. Thank you, friends, for watching this summary of the 2023 German film The Dive. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications to catch more films that you, film enthusiasts, bring to the spotlight. See you!